Well, some lawmakers want to know why the Department of Homeland Security is apparently on a huge ammo buying spree. This is a just-placed order for more than 300,000 bullets, just the latest in a series of contracts that could add up to more than 1.5 billion rounds of ammo over the next 5 years. Critics say that's enough bullets to supply the equivalent of the Iraq War for 24 years, and they want to know why the DHS is doing it. Congressman Doug LaMalfa is one of the lawmakers demanding answers. The California Republican joins us now via Skype from Redding, California. Congressman, good to see you. So let's cut right to the chase, because some of the conspiracy theorists online say this is our government buying up bullets to use against us. Are you one of those who believes that?
Well, you know, that might be reaching a little far at this point. We've asked the questions of DHS to see what is the reasoning behind doing this. And when you talk to your constituents out there across my area and across the whole country, there's an extreme shortage of ammunition as it is now. So when they hear a story like this, they wonder, is this what's contributing to us not being able to get ammunition for our own sporting purposes or plinking or their self-protection, what have you? So we had a series of questions of DHS say, what is your procurement standards here? Why are you doing it this way? You know, we're hearing things like, well, it's over a 5-year period and we're buying it in bulk. So, okay, we might be able to appreciate that. But it is a heck of a lot of rounds of ammunition, and for some very dubious sounding reasons. So,
but let me jump in and ask you, what is dubious about it? Because I think DHS is saying, look, it's, forgive the analogy, but it's sort of like Sam's Club. You know, and it's not that you need 24 rolls of paper towels that day. It's that you buy in bulk and it's cheaper and it lasts you longer and you don't have to deal with it as frequently again. Why is that not an acceptable answer?
It will probably be part of the answer that we get. You know, we're hearing these things, but again, when people are wondering why, for example, is the Social Security Administration getting almost 200,000 rounds of hollow point ammunition? What is it about our Social Security checks and administration that we have guys toting hollow point around with them? Now, if it's for target practice, there's an awful lot of hollow point going out to these various agencies that aren't appropriate for target practice because they're much more costly rounds. And so it's one thing to have, you know, the right people being able to go out and do the practice they need to do, but I think this is certainly worthy of a series of questions because a lot of people want to know. And in this time of sequester, where everything is a disaster because of the sequester, do they really have that kind of money to be spending on this amount of ammunition? Especially at a time, as part of the sequester, they're releasing many hardened criminals across the country and here in California as well.
You touched on, let me jump in, because you touched on, I asked you about the one conspiracy theory that's out there, and then you touched on the other theory that is out there in your letter, and you mentioned it just here as well, which is this is what you've written to the DHS, quote, are these purchases being conducted in a manner that strategically denies the American people access to ammunition? Now, that is a serious question because there is a problem with access to ammunition, according to some local law enforcement agents in various pockets of the country. People have been complaining that they can't get ammo for some reason right now. What is your theory on that?
Again, these are questions we want the DHS to answer for us. They have acknowledged our letter. Myself and 14 other members of the House have put this letter together forward together. And so they've acknowledged that. They say they're working on it. And so we will give them the opportunity to process that and let us know what it is. So, but the fact still remains, all told, it's about 2 billion rounds out there. And yes, local law enforcement is having a hard time. They're having to buy from people they know that might have a stash of them or other means that really isn't very professional.
Yeah.
As well
can I ask you this? Because I don't know what the answer is, but I'm wondering, does DHS normally do this where they buy, because they say we may not need 1.6 billion or 1.2 billion in ammo, but it's up to. We want to sort of authorize up to that number of bullets over the next 5 years. As far as when we look back, it looks like for 2012 they placed a 1-year order for 148 million rounds, but now this year it's a 5-year order of 1.6 billion rounds. So is it unusual to do the 5-year deal?
It seems unusual, and I think it's sending a wrong message to the people of this nation when they can't buy their own ammunition. Our law enforcement can't seem to buy ammunition. We have the sequester and all these budget issues out there. It sounds like a horrendous amount. You know, hollow point ammunition is much more expensive than the type that you would be using for normal target practicing and thinking of that. So there's a lot of things that are stirring around this. And then, honestly, there's a big mistrust by many, many people of their government these days. And so when they ask me to check in on this, I think it's my duty as an elected official, as a representative, to get to the bottom. These are just questions that we think are appropriate, need to be asked, and they come from the people across the country that would like to know these things. Mm-hmm. So, there's people, making fun of it a little bit, and you're using these words, paranoia. I think these are very appropriate for what we need to do.
Understood, sir. Well, I appreciate you coming on. You're not the only congressman who has written a letter. Tom Coburn, Senator Coburn, has written a letter as well. On February 4th, DHS responded to that and said, in part, look, we routinely do this, and said these strategic sourcing contracts help leverage the purchasing power of DHS to efficiently procure equipment and supplies at significantly lower costs. So our thanks to Congressman LaMalfa for his thoughts on it, and we will continue to follow it as he gets a response at some point from DHS.